I was working late one night at a local office building I was employed at in Times Square, New York, when I realized I should have left hours ago. The amount of paperwork I had left me oblivious at the time, and I accidentally worked 3 hours overtime. I was supposed to leave at 10:30 p.m., but instead left at 1:37 a.m. I didn't like going home that late considering I didn't have a car at the time, and I had to take the subway across town. That time of night is a bad time to be out, considering to get to the subway, I had to walk past dark alleyways. When I got to the subway, safely, thank God, I let out a sigh of relief. The subway was relatively empty besides one man sitting on the subway waiting bench. He wore a gray beanie with hair down to his shoulders. He also wore a black trench coat, which was odd where it was summer. He had a white shirt underneath, which looked dirty, like it hadn't been washed in like a month. I couldn't see his face though. He held it low, not looking up for anything. It didn't surprise me I'd see a weird individual this time of night, but it still unsettled me. As I stood and waited for the train to come, I had a sudden realization. I had to piss. I hate using public bathrooms, all dirty and infested with viruses, but nature called. As I walked to the bathroom, I glanced over to the stranger and I felt my skin turn pale. There he was, looking me dead in the eyes. It wasn't the fact he was looking at me that unsettled me, it was his eyes. His iris was a deep red color and seemed void of emotion. When I finally broke eye contact, I quickly entered the bathroom and collected myself. I thought it was foolish to me to be scared of him just because of his eyes. It could have been just a genetic mutation, like when eyes are blue, but in this case they're red. After I shook off my childish thoughts, I went into a stall. I proceeded to do my business like usual until I heard something. I heard a growl. A fucking growl right above me. As I'm sitting on the toilet paralyzed in fear, curiosity got the better of me and I slowly looked up. I wish I didn't. Dangling over me was the most grotesque thing I've ever seen. Some abomination of hell itself. It snarled with hunger at me, its head wrapped in barbed wire, its body nimble and frail, its skin the color of mucus. The smell of sulfur and death shrouded me, and all I could do was gag. I was powerless, gripped with fear. As I stared into its milky eyes, it finally moved. It screamed what sounded like the sounds of hell and pounced onto me. There I was, face to face with this abomination, and it screamed again, covering my face with its bile. It went to strike. In slow motion, I could see it inch towards my neck, and I knew I was going to die. All my hope was gone, and all I can see is how I wasted my 23 years on Earth behind a desk. As I thought exited my mind, I heard a loud bang, and the creature's head explode. I froze, thankful but terrified. I listened closely and heard boots hitting the ground walking towards my stall. In a delicate movement, the door opened and it was the strange man from the bench. I looked up at him and seen his glowing red eyes staring at me. Then, in a soft tone, I heard, "Are you okay?" as a hand reached out and welcomed me to grab it. In a scared tone, I said, "Yeah," and grabbed his hand. When I touched him, I felt like I was safe, like he was holy, angelic almost. As I stood up, still scared and covered in the excrements of that beast, I let out a pathetic form of a thank you. He grunted and turned around to leave. When he reached the door, I blurted out, "What's your name?" He stopped and slowly turned to look at me. "Zachariah." That was the last I ever saw of him again, but I do know one thing. I bought a car rather quickly after this incident.